Welcome back to another video. So this video we're gonna kind of work on a couple things in it, all that kind of stuff. So we're going to work on the go-kart a little bit, and then we're gonna work on the Honda also. So what I need to do is I need to go ahead and move the Kona out of the way and get the Honda right here, because it's supposed to start raining, and it's probably gonna rain like off and on for the next couple days. So if I have the Honda like right here, at least on the driveway, I ain't got to worry about the wet grass, all that kind of stuff, and I'll be able to still kind of like get under it and all that stuff. So let me go ahead, move some cars around. Then we're going to get into tearing this apart, because I want to get the gas tank off and clean the sludge out of that. Kind of, well, I guess you could say we're going to go ahead and start wiping this thing down, cleaning it down, kind of getting some prep work done to this. So let's do some car movement first. Okay, cars are moved, all that kind of stuff. So what I want to do to the Honda is I want to lower the back just a little bit more. So talked about it in the previous video. Well, let's see if we can get underneath and show this thing. Anyways, so there's the coil springs right there, and you can see all of these are coil bound. These are the exact shock springs that are meant for this car. Like, everybody runs these, the True Street. Now you have 1, 2, 3, 4 excuse me, and a half that are coil bound. So basically all that suspension is right in here and not this. Now what I want to do is, let's go ahead. So if you go straight up the middle to this right here, from top of wheel to fender, we're at 3 3/8, give or take, almost 3 1/2. Now you go with this one, don't worry about the body work, we're at 3 5/8. So basically, we're about a 1/2 inch higher in the back than the front. I hate raked vehicles. Like, that's one of my biggest pet peeves, is like a raked vehicle that sits nose down. Like the Silverado. When I did that 5.7 drop, it still sat at that rake. Even though it was supposed to sit flush or level, it never did. So that's why, like, that's the basics of the 5.7, is the 2 extra inches is supposed to get it down. Well, it didn't. So now it has a 5.9 drop on it. That way it sits 1 inch lower in the back than the front. So basically the same thing I'm going to do with the Honda is we're going to drop the back. We're going to try to get it just slightly under level. So basically we'll get the back maybe 1/4 inch to, basically, well, it's a 1/2 inch right now. The front is a 1/2 inch lower than the back, so basically we'll take the back down 1 inch. We're going to, I know this is not the best way to do it, is cut coils, but again, these things are coil bound, so cutting a coil isn't gonna make that much of a difference. So I'm gonna get underneath of it, we'll measure like how much to get an inch out. Probably 1 good coil, we probably could get it out. We'll see. But first, let's go ahead and bust into this and getting the gas tank off of this, get some gas in it, slosh it around, and try to clean that gas tank out. And we're gonna try to get the carburetor out and all that kind of stuff. So let's go ahead and we'll set the camera up. We'll go ahead and start busting into this. Okay, so like I said, we're going to be, working on this. I got the cars moved, all that kind of stuff. I went ahead and I got the bolts out of the shocks. So basically, if you remove the bolts out of the shocks and you lift the back end of this thing up, which I'm probably gonna have to, whatever, the springs should fall out. I've kind of pre-measured. I'm hoping, this is probably gonna take a time or two, but I'm hoping once we get the shocks, the springs out, if it's lining up the way it should, 1 coil out of this should do the trick. But right, first we're gonna throw some gas into this four-wheeler. use the gas for starting of this thing. What I want to do is, which, let's see if I can show you again, just in case you didn't notice in the other video, is all that right there. That's sludge. So what I want to do is put enough gas in there to cover the sludge, and then hopefully let it set for a little while. It'll be able to kind of like loosen it up, break it up, and all that kind of stuff. So that's what my goal is. Just put enough gas in here for purposes of breaking it up. All right, let's turn the gas off on this thing. There's enough gas in there, so like I said, I want to let that sit and see if it'll break up everything. Because what I'll do is, while it's in there, is we'll shake it up, and hopefully that'll break the sludge up, and then we can dispose of the gas and we'll be good. Another thing, while I'm here, let's go ahead. These things are irritating me. Ah, so much better. Yeah, that looks a lot better. Them stupid pool noodles, yeah. Looks a lot better like that. Alright, now let's go ahead, jack this car up. Let's see if we can get these springs to fall out. Not 100%. Needs to go up higher. Of course, this jack is maxed out. I don't want to take a wheel off. I need to get the other jack, because the other jack goes up higher. All right, well, guess we'll have to get the other jack out. No, I did not crawl underneath the car. You can just reach everything through the wheel. So here's the springs right here, and this is why it's able to cut coil. So this is the top that sits against the car. All these coils are the same size, unlike the bottom that, see how it goes in? So if you cut a coil off of this, it would not fit on the lower perch correctly, but the top, since these coils are basically the same exact size, you can cut a coil. So that's what we're gonna do, is we're going to, like, literally just go straight down right here. Cut one coil, hopefully that should be enough, because we're looking for over just about a ½ inch, and give or take a little bit. So this right here is around a ½ inch, maybe a little bit shorter. So later on we might, I don't know, let's see if we can look under here without getting underneath of it. Because the bottom perch just sits right on here, no big deal. The top sits up there. There's no clock like the Silverado. The Silverado has, on the lower perch for the spring, there's a section where the spring has to sit in. There's like a little notch. On this, there's no notch either on the lower or on the upper. So basically you can orient the spring any way around it because there's no notch underneath any of this. So what we're gonna do first is we're gonna start off with just one coil, then put the spring back on and lower it. If I have to go, I don't think I'm gonna have to go any more than 1.5, but what I wanna get out of this is what I wanna get. So now, needless to say, so what I did, well, let's go ahead and, so when I bought the shocks for this, the original shocks right here, compressed length of 17.99 inches. This is an OEM shock with a compressed of 17.99. I went with these ones, which are a shorter shock, still fits in, with a compressed of 14.9. So the shock body is shorter, so we're not going to run into an issue of like compressing the shock where it's out of its comfort zone, you can say, because I've already lowered this. It's already 1.5 inches. Another ½ inch to 3/4 of an inch is still going to keep the shock in its prime location, so I'm not worried about like bottoming the shock out or anything like that. So that's a good thing. So let me go ahead and cut these. I'm going to turn the camera off because it's noisy, but we're just going to cut one coil off these and then we'll go from there. Okay, it is hot outside. You can see right there, you kind of see it's light at the bottom, dark at the top. That's a storm that's coming this way, which I know, I think, did I say that at the beginning of the video? I don't remember, but it's supposed to storm, so that's why we're trying to do this. Okay, so cut one coil right there. It's my one coil cut out of it. Now, one thing, I mean, like, I went ahead and put it all back together because I was trying to rush because this storm is coming. And so it went down. I'm still, like, right now, it's about 1/8 of an inch higher in the back than it is in the front. So it's a lot closer than what it was, from like almost 3/4 of an inch down to 1/8 of an inch. That's pretty good, because like I said, one coil, that's roughly about a ½ inch. Okay, well, that's about what we took out. Now, the one thing I do like about it is now I took that one coil out. They're not coil bound no more, so now there is a slight gap in between the springs, so that's a good thing. That took a little bit of coil bind out of it, and that's the way it is on both sides, so I'm really happy about that. There's no more coil bind on this, so basically it's like kind of gave it a little more suspension. At least that's my thought behind it. So it's hard to see, but there is a space in between everything, and everything fits back up perfectly, just the way it's supposed to be. So bottom of the coil spring on the bottom, bottom at the top on the top, just like it's supposed to be. All right, so the way it lines up, everything looks good. I'm happy with that. I'm gonna take it out and drive it around probably tomorrow, because taking it up, taking it down, everything kind of stretched out, you know, this and that, the shock stretched Just need to kind of drive it around for a little while, put a few miles on it. It'll probably, everything will settle, and that 1/8 inch that's on there might come out. So it might just settle down to where I want it to be. Because like I said, the front was 3 3/8, something like that. Yeah, the back is now 3 1/2. So like I said, that is 1/8 of an inch. So whew, happy about that. I'd like it to be more than 1/8 of an inch, you know, like, because right now it's 1/8 of an inch too high. I'd like it to be 1/8 of an inch lower, which would mean 1/4 of an inch drop more. But what it is, I can live with that. That rake is very minimal. I mean, like, literally, the rake is less than the thickness of my flashlight right here. I can live with that. So we're gonna call it a day because I'm hot as crap and it's about to storm. So we'll pick this video back up tomorrow when we're going we're gonna remove the gas tank on that go-kart and see if we got it clean. So catch you tomorrow. All right, so it's the next day. Let the gas tank soak and all that kind of stuff. Dumped it out into my receptacle that I keep all my excess oil and just other debris in. It got a lot of it cleaned out. It's not perfect. A lot of it's kind of caked on. I went in ahead and like got in and scraped it and stuff like that. Did the best we could. So what we're going to do is we're going to clean some stuff on it. I'm going to try to, let's see here. I'm going to set this up. Come on. Can't even set my own camera up here. Get some of this like cleaned up, wiped it down. Get it, try to make it look a little bit decent. Because like I said, this thing's been sitting outside for a while. I'm not going to like go to town and like deep clean this thing. Let's see if I can get this off. But I want it to look decent. Ooh, that came off. Well, that one wasn't even tight. Really? How are you supposed to get to those? But I want to go ahead, take this cover off, get this cleaned up. We'll go ahead, get a lot of this wiped down. Try to get this thing slightly looking a little bit better. Because like I said, this thing's been sitting, so we want to get it a little cleaned up here. Again, we're not going for like show quality. I mean, wow, look at that. But besides, like, you know, the gas tank, everything else looks pretty good. I mean, it's dirty. It was missing the two nuts that go on the bottom of the gas tank there. So it was only held on by one, but for the most part, it looks pretty good. I wonder if we can go ahead and get the fuel bowl off of this thing real quick before we call this video a day. Here's my big Phillips. I have no idea. Here it is. I hate doing these, so we might get a wrench. Okay, that's not it. You gotta use a wrench on that one. Alright, what size is that? 10? No. That's an 11 anyways. Yeah, you can see the top of that right there, a little bit corroded. Fuel bowl doesn't look too bad. Everything under there looks pretty decent. I know you got to get a screwdriver up in here to get the main jet out. Let's see if we can do that. Like came loose and now it's like stuck, because I want to get the main jet out, because if this thing's sat for a while, the main jet in there could be a little bit corroded. Where'd it go? There it is. Alright, everything on it looks good. Blows through air. There's no, you can see light through all the holes, so guess the main jet is good. So everything on it. Yeah, everything looks good. There's a little bit of corrosion in there. We'll get a little piece of wire, a little teeny wire, and get that cleaned out. But that's the only bit of corrosion I see is inside that little bottom right there. So hopefully everything else should be good. So what we're gonna do is I'm just gonna finish cleaning, finish wiping down, and then we'll put this thing back together. And then hopefully in the next video, we'll go ahead, pick this thing up, put some gas in it, and see if it runs. That's going to be my goal. So then we'll take it out and take a rip around the block and all. I do have the new brake, so the new brake is on order. Should be here within the next day or two, but that's not going to stop us from ripping it. We just can't slow down very well. It's all good. All right, so I guess we'll pick this up in the next video of getting it running, hopefully. See you then.